Hey everybody, and welcome to another Interceptor Modeler. In this video, we're going to go back to 1970s TV and build an interceptor from the series UFO. So what you see here is a kit from Bandai that was produced quite a few years ago. I found it on eBay for under 40 bucks, which I think is a good buy because I usually see that they're priced a lot higher than that. The kit is a replica of the Interceptor, which is one of the ships used in a television show. If you're not familiar with the show, it's a Gerry Anderson TV show, same guy produced Space 1999, and centers around an organization called Shadow. Their mission is to fight off an alien force who are infiltrating or possibly invading the Earth, and there were a number of ships that were used on the show. This was an interceptor that launched from a moon base, and this was their first line of defense against the UFOs that would that the aliens would come to Earth in. Alright, well the kit comes molded in a white plastic. You see it comes with a decal sheet, which I'm going to have to try and replicate. I'm going to go ahead and scan this and see if I can make a new one, because this is quite yellow. The model itself has some surface detailing to it, you can see here, and I'm not sure how accurate this kit is, but looking at some reference pictures, it seems pretty close. There are some inconsistencies around the cockpit area and so forth, but for the most part, it looks like it'll make a decent replica. Next we have this tree, which comes with the missile. The one unique thing about this ship, and I always thought was a little odd, is that it carried one missile, so they only had one shot trying to shoot down a UFO. Once they shot the missile, they were done. So there were 3 interceptors that would meet the UFOs as they came across the moon, and so they would each deploy I believe it was a nuclear missile to destroy the ship. So we have the missile here, we have the tail end, we have parts that go, of course, the front part of the ship here, and then we have the cockpit, which is highly lacking in any detail. You can see the pilot is actually molded into the piece of plastic here. So I'm going to have to build my own cockpit, I think. Now, I've seen other builders tackle this model, and I saw one guy who took the time to build out a nice cockpit, only to find that you really couldn't even see the instrumentation panel. So what I do plan to do is to build at least the back side of the cockpit. You'll be able to see into the cockpit there from the front angle, but I doubt I'll do much with any instrumentation here. The model also comes with a stand, which I'm not going to be using. I have an idea of what to do with the display base. And then we also have some other parts here that go to the missile, and some other surface detailing, as well as the landing gear. And since our pilot is molded into the plastic, it's pretty useless. I'm going to go ahead and discard that, and I decided to get a pilot off of eBay. This is an A4 Skyhawk pilot. It comes detailed with the helmet. I'm going to have to alter some of this stuff because the pilots on the show did not wear outfits that were this intricate. So I'm going to have to make some alterations there. And then we have the canopy cover, or the windshield, and that's what it looks like here. So and that's it. So we're going to go ahead and wash all the parts here before I get started, and then we'll move on to priming and so forth. Alright, so moving along here now, I am creating some detailing here for the back wall of the cockpit, using this here as my guide. This particular modeler did a really nice job adding all of this detailing. He did point out later on that most of this you really couldn't see because the pilot is sitting right smack in the middle, obviously. But I still think it's worthwhile doing this exercise because you will be able to see some detailing as you look through the window. So just using strips of styrene here that I'm trimming to create that pattern. I'll show you here as I complete this. Alright, so this is the completed piece now. Again, most of this is going to be obscured by the pilot, so the detailing is fairly simplistic here, but I just wanted something to be able to be seen as you look through the cockpit window. Again, showing you the piece that came with the model. You can see the back wall is blank with the pilot molded into the floor piece, so we're doing away with this piece here now and moving forward with our pilot. This again is an A4 Skyhawk pilot I purchased off of eBay. I already pulled off the arms here, and I'm going to go ahead and detach them from this base that it comes with. But I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of most of this detailing here because the suit on a television show is fairly simple. It's just a light blue colored suit, and so I'm going to get rid of those and create some new seat belts with some styrene plastic. So let's go ahead and move forward. Alright, so this is what the pilot looked like. You can see the helmet had a blue stripe in the middle, so I still need to paint that. Also had this orange visor. What I'm going to use to mimic that is Tamiya's clear orange color. I've used that on the Eagle pilots in the Space 1999 Eagle model, and it did a nice job with mimicking a face shield. I'm going to see if I can add some little knobs on the sides of his helmet like this, and also you can see the blue jumper suit that they wore, and we still have to add these darker blue seatbelts. Alright, so here we now have the finished pilot. Looks a little washed out here on screen for some reason, but there is a bit more contrast when you look at it in person. But using the multiple shades here, we can give him a bit more dimension, adding some contrast with some of the highlights and the darker shadows. Also, the styrene strips worked out well to create the seatbelts that we needed. And you can see how the Tamiya orange, that clear orange color, worked out nicely to mimic a face shield. Also had some insulated wire I was able to use to create this pipe here, or this tube along the back part of the seat. I noticed that as I was looking at some reference photos. Alright guys, well now that the pilot is completed, it's now time to put him in the proper position there into the cockpit. So as I looked at the instructions, there appears to be this mechanism here that was supposed to be mounted in the front section, and the purpose of which is to allow the missile to launch. So I'm going to actually forego that, and by doing so, it's going to open up this entire section to give us enough room for our pilot. So the pilot has to mount about right here. However, if I let him sit that way, he's too low. So in order to account for that, I'm going to use this strip styrene here, which I've already cut into pieces, and it just so happened this is the right thickness that we need. So the plan is to go ahead and glue this into position, and that will allow us to elevate the pilot and bring him to the proper height. I've already tested this and he fits right in, and I've placed the front windshield into position, and sure enough there's enough clearance. Now the one thing is that the plastic is a bit, well, as you can see, it's not the clearest plastic to look through, so it is going to obscure things just like I thought it would. And so we'll be able to see some of the detailing there in the back just as I planned. For sure you'll get a clear view of the pilot. But at least the one good thing about this is I don't have to create any sort of flooring, because you're really not going to be able to see much of the floor there. Alright, you can see I'm working on the seams now. The first step I did was to glue the two halves together, of course, using just regular plastic cement. And that was followed with some application of this stuff here, which helps to melt the plastic a little bit together along that seam. Then I just used some various grits of sandpaper to try to smooth that seam out. I still could see some of it, so I decided then to apply some Tamiya putty. And now I'm just waiting for that to dry. So as I'm waiting for the seams to dry, I'm just starting to work on the missile now. The problem with the missile is that it came with a rounded tip. The tip of the missile should be pointed, so I'm just using my Dremel now to reshape it. So with the application of just some gentle pressure there along that grinding stone, it's actually working out pretty well. So I'm going to from here on, I'm going to just use sandpaper and just continue to reshape it, that along with a sanding stick, and I think we'll be good. Well, actually, before moving on, there's one more seam I need to address, and that's this back piece as it attaches here. That's the exhaust port. It creates this seam here, and that has to be blended away to look like one piece. If you look at the studio model, it's this section right here. Well, it's brought to my attention by another modeler that the studio model actually had these open panels here on each side of the engine that had some detailing here. And if we look at another picture, this one here, you can see there definitely is that open area there. So I was thinking, you know, that's cool. I didn't think that we'd be able to do too much with it here, but when I inspected the model, we actually have these recessed panels here. And I was thinking at first it would have been cool just to cut them out, but you know what, this is actually going to serve as a nice area to scratch build this type of detailing here. Alright, so again, the way to do this is just to use strips of styrene. These are just products you can get from Evergreen Scale Models, and just cutting some small pieces out here, and I'll arrange them into the panel to create the detailing. Obviously not after something that's going to be screen accurate, but as long as we have that detailing there, I think that'll add much to the model. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Alright, so here we have it all primed. You can see that the styrene pieces were very effective at creating that detailing that we were after. That area is now going to be painted a metallic silver color when all is done, and I will dirty it up a little bit by just maybe adding some of this stuff that will make it look a little grimy in each of those panels. Alright, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and we'll pick up in part 2 where we will complete the ship and work on the base. So I'll see you in the next one. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me here as usual on my channel or at interstellarmother@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. Take care.